YouTube, what's going on, guys? I probably should have started recording before doing this, but I'm taking apart the wastegate bot. I went with an eBay wastegate, which is kind of dangerous because if it overboosts, I'm kind of screwed. But it seems decent quality. Well, I mean, from the picture it did, and yeah. So I mean, everyone says you can get by with these just fine. You just gotta take them apart so you can see what you need to fix or what's wrong. In this case, this is rated at a 22 psi spring. I did not bench test it because I need less than that. So yeah, I got the bolts taken off, and this is why it's rated at 22 psi, because it has 2 springs on it. So I'm pretty sure I'll be fine if I just take out one of them. I think one of them is like an 8 psi spring and the other one is like a 12 or something along those lines. But I mean, first impressions upon taking this off, this doesn't look too bad. Pretty decent quality. I paid like $50 for it. Look at all that dirt, man. The diaphragm seems like it's in good condition, just a little bit dirty, but other than that, seems good. The problem with these Chinese ones is, I mean, the fit and finish isn't always perfect. I mean, if you look closely right there, looks like a metal shaving from when they tapped the hole right there. So I mean, if you take them apart, I've seen everyone do this on YouTube. Just take it apart and you'll basically be fine. My engine is in pieces right now, so I haven't really been able to test it, but I mean, you can bench test it by just like putting some air through here and then seeing at what psi it opens up. There we go, you see that? I mean, it's opening and closing pretty smoothly. What a lot of people also don't know is, like, you see that there's a gap right there. You're supposed to use the valve seat that comes included, which is maybe why it's not working for a lot of people. But I mean, if you look at the diaphragm, it doesn't look too bad, just a little bit dirty, because that's also a reason these are pretty cheap. I mean, they gotta cut corners somewhere, and obviously they're gonna do it in quality control, so yeah, not too bad. A lot of problems that are really common with these is this top part where the diaphragm rests not sitting properly with this bottom part. But in this case, I mean, everything looks really well seated. Nothing looks really uneven. It doesn't look like there should be any boost leaks in there. But it looks like it should function as advertised. It does have a bronze valve guide, which I think like the major brands like Tile use, which, I mean, that's pretty good considering it was only like $50, 52 around there. And I mean, this is probably not even really a test, but the valve seems to open and close pretty smoothly. So that shouldn't be an issue opening up. But I'm just taking it apart and sharing it with you guys because why not? I mean, there's a ton of videos on YouTube about Chinese wastegates and stuff, but I thought I'd share this one. This isn't by Speed Daddy or anything like that. I don't know if you guys have heard of Speed Daddy. I know it's a weird name, but he's a seller on eBay and he sells wastegates. But and then there's like other Chinese sellers. This one shipped from Wyoming. I'm not sure if this is like an original design or something, but overall it looks pretty dang good so far. So I mean, I still need to test it, and I'll probably do that in a separate video. But if you do decide to buy a Chinese wastegate, make sure you take it apart, clean it up, because they have to cut corners somewhere to make these things really cheap, and quality control is definitely it. As you can see, it's pretty dirty in there. And one of these holes had like metal shavings. I mean, that one right there see if it'll focus. You can kind of see there's metal shavings right there. So yeah, not too shabby. All right, well, I realize this is 12 and this is probably a 10 psi. Well, at least he claims it is. But so I'm removing this more. I'm not sure if this is the 100% right way to do it, but I used a larger flathead on one side, and then I ended up using a 10 mil on the other side so I can loosen up this bolt, loosen up this nut so I can remove the valve, just to make sure it's straight, because you gotta check everything with these Chinese wastegates. That's kind of imperfect because I was using a screwdriver right now, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Alright, I got the nut off, put that to the side, remove the diaphragm. There's that. Set that aside. And honestly, what a lot of people do is end up getting like a real diaphragm, but this feels relatively solid, not too shabby. These are bolts that a lot of people say are kind of loose, and I can kind of see it because if you look how tight they are, like some of them, like right there, the one on the right looks a little bit tighter than the one on the left. And yeah, but now we can just pick this up, and out comes the valve, and everything looks solid. You know, it's not a brand name wastegate by any means, but for the price, you really can't beat it. And I mean, I'm boosting my car and I'm building the engine up a little bit, so, well, built bottom end and maybe some of the head too. So overall, not too bad anyway. The valve looks in pretty good shape, pretty solid. It has a bronze valve guide, which apparently that's good. The inside of here is not like perfect at all finished, but as long as it doesn't interfere with the valve going up and down, I think we should be good. So let's keep going and remove these and see what stuff's like down there. Alright, some people say these came loose. At least mine right now, this came really tight. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I would have just slapped it on the car, you know, if my engine was put together, it would have been fine. But can never be too safe, especially because I'm spending a lot of money in that car. So yeah, I'm just taking these out now. They were really tight on there. I really had to put some effort into there. So I mean, this one, for this Chinese turbo, or I'm not even sure if it's Chinese or just, it's a no-name brand, but it seems like it's pretty high quality for the price, you know, $50. And we should just be able to shake this off. Yeah, give me 1 sec. Alright, so this is the plate that touches the bottom of the wastegate, and it looks pretty, honestly, I would say pretty high quality, pretty decently machined. This is really smooth right here. And yeah, I mean, there were spacers underneath to, you know, put right there to levitate it a little bit, but yeah, everything looks really good, honestly. Nothing really big I can complain about. I'm gonna stick with probably the 10 psi spring, or claimed to be psi spring, because I mean, my turbo, which is also Chinese, maxes out at 21 psi, so I'm probably just gonna try to get 20, because if this is a 10, you should like only go double of what your spring is rated at, I think. But anyway, this is for the wastegate. So I think it was like $52. For $52, this wastegate is pretty good. It is an eBay wastegate. A ton of people use these, and for a ton of people they work fine. and for a ton of people they don't. But for the people that it doesn't really work, I mean, just to be sure and precautious, you should probably take it apart, then use Loctite, because I mean, if you look at these don't have any Loctite on them. I'm pretty sure if well, we're gonna find out eventually when I'm done with my car. When everything is put back together, well, the wastegate with some Loctite, it should be just fine. The valve slides up and down, not relatively. It slides pretty smoothly, so it should function perfectly fine. There's not really much more to say. I mean, it came with all the necessary hardware, the valve seat and stuff to install. For $52, I would say it's a great deal. I haven't used it yet, like a ton of you guys probably watching this video, but there's a ton of videos online that say they work perfectly and you just got to take them apart. And I mean, I've found more of that than just saying they're trash, or people not realizing you need to use the valve seat for it to seal completely. So I mean, at least in terms of quality and disassembling all this stuff, it looks pretty good. I would recommend for you to disassemble if you decide to purchase this one or any cheap wastegate, because there's no Loctite on here, so I'm pretty sure after a while of use this probably would have started vibrating and loosened up a bit, so there would be probably a small boost leak. But yeah, if you guys buy Chinese wastegate, like every other YouTube video says, take it apart, check the quality out on stuff like the valve, make sure it's sealing right, at least visually, before you install it on your engine, and just take it apart. I mean, it's interesting, and I mean, it's just good to know, like, you know, this is a wastegate. This is what's gonna help your car basically not over boost and stuff. So it can make or break your car. But since I have parts that I'm gonna be building my engine with, it should be able to handle any overboost. But I'm gonna get an AEM True Boost gauge that should have some overboost protection and stuff. But anyway, if you're gonna buy a Chinese wastegate, do your research, take it apart, because I did a ton of research before buying this. And yeah, that's it, guys. If you like this video, like it. If you didn't, I'm so sorry. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. It's probably gonna be like 6 more months or 4 more months before I can start my Celica and then actually, you know, test out everything I bought. But I'm faithful and hopeful that everything will work out fine, because everything seems to be of decent quality. It's not the most expensive stuff, but I'm pretty sure I can make it work. So yeah, peace, guys, and stay tuned for more videos. I just said peace already.